Hey everybody, welcome to Big Buck Night West. We're here in Grand Rapids at the Ultimate Sports Show. It is always a ton of fun to be here. And the Bucks, every year, they're huge, but this year, some of the biggest ones I've ever seen.
It's amazing, Jimmy. The quality of Bucks here in Michigan are just amazing, and we've got a lot of them that came through the door here tonight, and we've got a lot of good stories.
Well, hey, make sure you stay tuned. It's Big Buck Night, and it's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988, featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By Grilla Grills of Holland, Michigan, makers of wood pellet, charcoal grills, and professional pellet smokers. Grilla Grills are designed for ease of use to improve your grilling and smoking skills. More information at grillagrills.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
Okay, well, the first buck of the night is young Maggie NULF. Her dad Grover is here with her. Maggie is 6 years old. She shot this 8-point buck during youth season, gross score of 137, shot it with a crossbow. Maggie, tell us what happened out there.
First, we started to walk there, then we finally made it there, and deer started coming, and then we heard this crickly cracking noise behind us with the sticks, and well, first some fawns came out, and my dad started talking to me, and then he heard this sound again, and then this big 8-point came us behind us, and he grabbed my tripod and he moved it, and he got the crossbow adjusted. Then he told me to take a deep, big breath, and I did. And then before I was done speaking, I shot it.
That's awesome. You didn't even need your dad to tell you that, did you? So what happened after that? You guys got to go walk up on him, right?
We walked up on him, and then we took him home.
Oh, that is cool. Congratulations, Maggie. Awesome, Hunter. We think that your buck might be older than you, hey?
Yes.
Great job. Well, keep at it, kiddo. Beautiful deer. Congratulations.
All right, well, our next hunter is Angela AUBIN. This was shot in Gratiot County, shot with a compound bow. Very impressive. Scored 148 and 1/8. Angela, how long have you been bow hunting?
How long have we been together? 8 years, I think.
Nice. And so what happened? What time of the season was this in?
November 3rd, late bow season.
And tell me what happened.
My husband and his dad had been out in New Mexico elk hunting, so I hadn't gotten to get out in the last 2 weeks, and I did get out once and saw him out in the oat field, and he wouldn't come off the doe. So when him and his dad got home 2 days before, they told me I had my choice where I wanted to hunt, so I knew right where I was going, and about 45 minutes out there, he came walking right out into the food plot and gave me a shot.
So how long did you see him coming before you shot?
45 seconds.
So did you have time to get nervous and like really have to think about it, or did it just happen too fast?
It happened too fast.
Okay. So how far was the shot?
About 30, I'm assuming.
Nice. And what happened after that?
My husband actually got to see him go down, so we knew right where he was, and we went and picked her up out of the house and went and got him.
Wow. And so was there some celebrating at the deer?
Yeah, a little bit. She's the one that found him, so she was pretty excited. She told everybody her mom shot a big buck.
Nice. And so did the guys get anything when they went out west?
They both brought home big elk.
Oh, nice. So they had a good year, and you had an awesome year. This is a buck of a lifetime. Let's give Angela a round of applause for a beautiful deer.
Okay, our next big buck was shot by Eric Bale on November 26th, Allegan County. This 8-point is 154 1/8 inches gross score. The spread on this thing is amazing too, Eric. Tell us all about this.
Well, I've been hounding a buddy of mine to hunt on his property for a couple of years. Didn't see anything on our spot pretty much most of gun season, so the night before I went out to find this guy, I had a couple beers with my friend, and he said, "Well, go out there and hunt in the morning." Okay, well, I've never been out there. I don't know where to go. All right, hop in my truck. Let's go for a ride. 10:30 at night, we drove through the hunting property in a truck, an older truck. And don't worry, they're not scared of my truck. Okay, but you have to come get my truck in the morning because they're scared of yours. Sure, okay. About 5 o'clock, pick up the truck, go out there. I get lost. Never out there before. And find my bearings before sunlight, thankfully. Get into my blind and sit all morning and freeze my toes off. 10:30 comes around, getting ready to leave, standing up out of the blind, and I see a sumac tree rustling about 50 yards in front of me, and got a flash of antler and thought, ooh, there's a shooter. Had no idea it was like this. And about 50 yards, turned and gave me a quartering away shot, and gave him one, and came in. He came about 20 yards closer to me and stopped and kind of gave me a look and saw his back legs wobbling, and he went down. And I had no idea it was like this until I walked up to it, and once I got a look, and I actually said out loud, "Are you kidding me?"
So did your buddy who let you hunt his land, did he know this buck was out there?
Nope, nobody had seen this one before. I'm not sure if he'll let me back out there or not, but it was a good time.
That is an amazing story. A 22-inch spread, by the way, on this 8-point. Beautiful buck. Congratulations, Eric.
Okay, this next lucky hunter is Brandon HEYBOER. Shot this in Allegan County. This one scores 154 6/8 inches and was shot with a .450 Bushmaster, a popular gun of late. So Brandon, let's hear the story. When did you shoot this nice buck?
It was the day before Thanksgiving. A couple days before that, I asked my sister if she wanted to go out. Said, I better take her out once. We're going to her friend's house, so might as well take her. So we get out there. I told her before we're going hunting to find the seat cushions because we're going to be sitting against a tree. Well, she found them, but we forgot to pack them. So we get out there, and we're pulling in the driveway. Like, you got the seat cushions? She goes, no, I forgot them. I was hoping you weren't going to ask. Sweet. Well, we're sitting till dark. So I told her to watch one side of the field, and I was going to watch another side. At about 5:30, a doe came out on her side of the field. She didn't see it. I look over, and she's on her phone. I'm like, oh, nice.
Now, was she hunting too, or was she just hanging out with you?
She was my guide for the day. So then I'm like, Danielle, look, there's the deer. Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. I'm like, well, no duh, you're on your phone. So then the doe comes out, and she's asking why I'm not shooting it because I didn't have a doe tag. So I lose track of the doe. I quick look at my handbook, DNR handbook, to see when I have shooting light till. I noticed it was 5:47. About 5:30, I pull up the binoculars looking down her side of the field again, and there he is in the thick brush. I'm like, Danielle, there's a big buck down there. What are you doing? She's like, well, I can't see that far. All right, so here comes the doe. It works at the buck. It actually worked in the field a little bit more. I ranged him. It was at 187. I asked her what time. She says it's 5:41. I said, well, I got 6 more minutes, so it's either now or never. Changed the custom dial on my scope to 1.9, sent downrange, and dropped him right there.
Jeez. So 190 what?
190 yards.
190 yards with the .450 Bushmaster. Wow. So getting low light, and nice job being legal. That was very nice. Nice touch there. And so you obviously couldn't see really good, but could you saw him go right down, or did it look like, I mean, what could you tell?
Well, after I shot, the recoil set me back, and I looked down the scope, and I could see white belly, and I just was like, I can't believe I hit it. I can't believe it's dead. We actually went up to it, and there was a hunter hunting the field next to us, and he came over, and he's like, well, how many points does it have? I'm like, I don't even know. I didn't even check. So he's like, yeah, it's got 9 points. I'm like, oh, sweet.
Now, do you shoot deer like this on a regular basis?
No. This is my first deer in 6 years. I've been passing up a lot of them, and it finally paid off.
Well, yes, it did. And your guide service, she did a good job, I guess. So let's give him a round of applause for a heck of a buck and a great hunt. Nice job. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, lucky or skilled, we're not sure till we hear the story. Next hunter here we have is Aaron KAMPHUIS. Shot this beautiful 12-point Allegan County, October 2nd with a crossbow. Non-typical gross 171 3/4 inches. Just amazing. So tell us what happened out there on October 2nd.
Yeah, so you want me to hold it? No, we got it. Okay. I knew day 3 we were going to have our third baby boy. So I knew I had 2 days to hunt. So day 1 I went out and shot a 7-point, and then took the kids out tracking for that. And then I went out on day 2 at night, and it happened very fast. I literally seen him, and within 10 seconds shot him. Took off, and I didn't know how big it was. I knew it was big, but I didn't know. I'd never seen him before. I have people that had seen him, but so yeah, we went tracking later, let it sit for a while, and it was like the most exciting time when me and my buddy got out there and my neighbor got out there. So
Awesome. So you didn't bring the pregnant wife out with you then?
no, I came back early, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, I think I just shot the biggest deer of my life. And so, yeah. So day 1, 7-point, and day 2, 12, and day 3, a little buck.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations, Aaron, and a beautiful Michigan buck.
Thank you.
Well, our next big buck was shot by John Hatt. This scored 184 gross, shot in Van Buren County with a shotgun. John, this thing is massive. Did you know this was in the area?
Yeah, we bought this place back in 2016, and he showed up in mid-October then, and I always leave for Kansas to bow hunt just before our gun season opens, and he started showing up in daylight, and I was begging my buddy. I'm like, we got to stay at least 2 more days. Well, needless to say, we didn't stay. So we left and came back last year, pulled the card November 15th. I had a picture of him after dark, so I knew he had made it through opening day. And then I didn't get another picture of him until actually Christmas, the 25th of December. And then this year was the same thing. Mid-October, he showed up again, and all nighttime pictures though. And then once again, we're leaving for Kansas, and everyone's like, "You're crazy, you're leaving to go to Kansas." And we got back, let's see, on the 19th, pulled the card when we got back that night, and I had a picture of him on the 18th. So Thanksgiving morning, I was actually hunting another property that I own, and my wife sends me a text at 9:30 in the morning, says that giant's out in the bean field with a doe, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
Now, how big is the piece of property that you got there?
This is only 35 acres, this piece, and so I came back home, didn't have a good wind condition for that field that night, so I set a new stand, hoping that doe would come back out and he'd be with her, and needless to say, every doe that came in that night, I was on pins and needles, but he didn't show up, so I had to work on that Friday. So Friday night we were sitting around talking, and I said to my buddy, I said, "Man, I just would love to see a deer like that on the hoof." And so I was torn between hunting the south bean field or my north field, and something just kept telling me, even though she saw him on the south field, to hunt the north field. So Saturday morning I got in my stand, and about 8:30 I turned and I seen a deer coming out of the neighbor's property, and once he cleared, I could see right away it was him.
How far was he at that point?
At that point, he was probably about 120, 130 yards, working my way. And at about 45 yards, I stopped him. And he took a couple steps to where I didn't have a shot, and he's looking. So then I was pretty nervous. But
are you in a tree or in a ground blind?
In a tree stand. And so he started walking again, and I stopped him again, and he gave me one shot. And I shot, and he mule kicked, and he took off. And then I started firing texts left and right. We tracked it probably 60 yards or so, and the blood really started to peter out, and then I started getting pretty nervous at that point, and Even though we had given him a couple hours, I thought, well, maybe we ought to back out. And then all of a sudden you could see he had stopped running and started walking, and the blood got real good. And we went probably about another 80 yards, and I could see a little bit of brown up ahead of us in the edge of the swamp, and I put the binos up, and I could just see the back end of the deer. And then we walked up there, and it was, oh my gosh, it's him. So.
Okay, this next big, crazy-looking buck was shot by Eric Westra, Kalamazoo County, with a crossbow on November 14th, and the gross score is 191 inches. How many points are on this thing, Eric?
It depends on who's counting them. Sometimes there's 22, sometimes there's 23, sometimes there's 25, and sometimes there's 28. I think officially when I had somebody look at it and they said there was 25 that were scoreable.
Okay, that is just amazing. And if you could pick this rack up, it feels like it's injected with lead. It's amazing how heavy it is. But tell us what happened out there. So last day of archery season before the gun hunters get out there, and what's going on?
This buck, a couple people in the area where I hunt have had this on camera. And I never saw it out there, but I had it on camera once. And I'd been hunting another deer. There was a big 9-point out there. And I'd seen the 9-point once. And the next time I went hunting out there, I saw a small buck, and he was messing around with a little doe. And they went in the woods, and I could hear him running around in there. I knew something was going on in there, and then it went death quiet. And I grunted once, and it came out, and all I saw was this side right here, and I'm thinking, okay, that's a big shooter. And then when I looked through the scope in my crossbow and saw the rest of it, and I almost fell out of a tree stand. I had 20-yard shot, perfect shot. And the funny part was I didn't have to track it. It went 20 yards and dropped right there.
So what happens after that? You had a little buck fever. I imagine this is the biggest buck you ever shot?
Yeah, yes, it is. The funniest part is that my friend who had seen this and had been hunting this also on the neighbor property, I called him to tell him I shot it, and he's screaming at me, "Don't get down. Don't go get it. I want to track it with you. I'm like, we don't need to track it. It's right there." He was mad because we couldn't go track it.
So then what happened? Did you have anywhere you could parade it around, show it off?
Yeah, we paraded around a little bit. It's something different. I've been one of those people that don't shoot anything unless it's bigger than what you have on the wall. Well, I'm kind of screwed now. So.
That is amazing. What a cool looking buck. Buck of a lifetime too. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a monster buck. This was shot by Jim Moyer Jr. in Ingham County with a muzzleloader. This scores net score 193 and 4/8. This thing is one of the biggest deer I've ever seen. Even though it doesn't have the biggest score I've ever seen, it's just huge. So Jim, walk us through what happened.
Well, opening day gun season, brought my muzzleloader out about 8:30 in the morning, had about 15 does come out. Then the 16th doe came out, and you could tell something was chasing her. So I kind of peeped out, looked in the thicket, and I seen nothing but antlers coming through. So grabbed my muzzleloader, cocked it, got it ready, came in through some openings. And by the time he got to the opening, it was 35 yards away, stopped him, shot him. It was pretty simple. I mean, it was almost too easy. I mean,
well, okay, so let's back up. Did you know that this giant deer was on the property?
No, I seen him like 3 years ago. He was a 10-pointer, run on the neighbor's field, ran into another property. I'm assuming it was him. I assume somebody shot it, but I've never seen it. Nobody said anything about it. So, yeah, it was a nice surprise.
So he was coming through some thick stuff. Could you see how big he really was?
No. I seen just little fragments of just massive tines. I just seen lots of white, so I knew he was a shooter, even though I couldn't see, through the brush.
Well, for shooter, I've shot deer that were big as just the brow tines. So when he pops out, did you look at the rack, or did you have to not look at it?
I didn't look at him. I knew he was big. When he came out and we finally got to the opening, I let a little bit, and he stopped, and I took a quick look, and I knew he was big. I shot him. He ran about a little over 200 yards. He went a lot farther, but it's because I looked at the antlers and didn't put a great shot on him.
So when you get a buck like this and you get him in your truck, did you drive him around town? Do you show him to everybody? What do you do when I'm not familiar with what you do in that kind of situation.
Well, yeah, I knew he was big. I didn't realize how big he really was until I talked to a few other people. I went to Bath. Buckpole won that first place, and then I just brought it home, sat in my garage, drank a few beers with a couple of my neighbors, and just stared at the sucker.
So is it still pretty overwhelming to look at it on the wall?
Oh yeah, it's in my dining room, so I eat dinner. I sit there just checking it out. It's. I walk in the house. I'm impressed every time I look at it. It's a buck of a lifetime.
That sure is. What are you going to do for next year?
Well, there's big sheds found. Probably there's potential 170, 180 running around. So I got my eyes on him now.
Well, Ingham County is producing some big bucks this year. Let's give them a round of applause for a beautiful Michigan whitetail. Nice job.
Okay, here we go. This is our last big buck of the night here, and big is an understatement. 213 inches. Joe Bloogerman shot this in Jackson County on November 25th with a shotgun, and it's got 22 scorable points. Joe, what in the world happened out there?
Well, I tell you, it was kind of slow the afternoon, and I really hadn't seen anything. I was in the tree stand. I was standing up, looking behind, and just a little bit, and I turned back around, and like real quick, like, there's a deer right there. How'd he get so close? Holy cow, it's a monster. And my gun's hanging up in the tree, and 25 yards. He's looking right at me. I'm busted. It's like, so I closed my eyes right away. So try not to make eye contact.
Sounds like a great idea.
That was my best plan, I guess. And then he kind of turned his head, looked where he was standing, and looked right back at me. And then he took a couple steps, looked back, a couple more steps, looked back, and a couple more steps. Well, now there's a couple trees helping out, so I could see his head, but he's looking the way he's facing. So I reach up and grab the gun and shoulder it, and he is unaware, and that felt so good. Oh. So right there was a head neck shot, and I said, oh, just wait a second. And about a second later, he took another step, and I double-lunged him, put a good shot on, I thought, big mule kick, and he took off. Not a big death run, but he took off, and I could watch him about maybe 80 yards, and I lost track. And, there's a river all down that side of the property, and wow. And I'm thinking, I put a good shot. I'm thinking, right about now, he's got to be about done. I'm thinking so, and I'm a little excited. And so,
Wait, did you call anyone else at this point?
Not at this point. Okay. So I gather my stuff and get down. Gonna go look for some blood, and I went to where I shot. I thought, and I'm looking at 10 yards, 20. I'm not seeing any blood. And I'm like, what the heck? So I started zigzagging. Then I crossed the blood. I was offline, and so good blood. And so I just followed it nice and easy and right to the river. And I look up, and there he is in the water on the other side. Almost made it up the other side. I just see a little bit of horns in the body. And I'm like, wow, and I'm like, well, maybe that's not him. I'm looking around. Maybe mine's on dry land right here. No, there's the blood, and there he is. So
you could see his rack sticking out of the water, right?
Just some of it. Didn't look that big, but definitely a rack. And so, okay, now what do I do? And so I'm starting to cross the river, and the water's coming up higher and higher. I'm not even halfway across, and well, this ain't working. So I go back, on shore. Like, what are we going to do now? And Ron says, well, strip down your underwear and go get him. And I'm looking at him like, no, really, what are we going to do? And they're just looking at me. Oh, okay, all right. So I left my shirt on and underwear, and we had a rope, and I took the rope and swam across, tied it around his horns, and they pulled us both back.
Did anyone document this with photos or video?
On video. It's all on video. His kid took good video. So.
Sounds a lot like Gabe Van Wormer's buck story from earlier this year, too. So I guess
Special thanks to everyone who made it out for Big Buck Night West. And for those who were unable to attend, we decided to end this week's show with a few bloopers from that night.
Well, hey, everybody, I am Jimmy Gretzinger, and it is time for Outdoor... No, we're not at Outdoor. We're at the Ultimate Sports Show. See, we screw up a lot, so we could be here for quite a while. Make sure you stay tuned. It's Michigan Out of Doors, and it's right here at Outdoorama. What am I...
The quality of bucks here in Michigan, they're just getting bigger and bigger every year. And sorry. No, Jordan told me beforehand, do not say they're getting bigger and bigger every year. You guys say that every time. Sorry, it was my turn to screw up. See the quality of bucks, and they just seem like they're growing. Here in Michigan, it's the place to be to hunt deer this time of year. Why can't I think, can we skip the intro?
This time of year, they'd be poaching. Well, hey, make sure you stay tuned. It's Big Buck Night, and it's time for Michigan Out of Doors. Woo! Landed that one.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. Michigan's hunters and anglers are essential partners to the health of the state's wildlife and habitats. The Michigan Wildlife Council is dedicated to ensuring our hunting and fishing heritage and Michigan's natural resources are preserved for future generations. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. With its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses, Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises on the web at picturedrocks.com. Closed captioning provided by Marvo Mineral, makers of Lucky Buck, deer management products including minerals to supplement deer diets year-round to improve health and antler growth.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer